going to talk about 6-3, which is on solving proportions. And a proportion is basically a fraction that equals a fraction. Okay? It just got a top and a bottom and a top and a bottom. There's no any other stuff with it. You're just comparing two things. And the easiest way for them to compare them is to write them as a fraction with a top and a bottom, a top and a bottom. And when you make them equal, you can solve or find a missing part. For example, if you have 36 over x is equal to 3 over 8, you're trying to find the missing part of this fraction, right? You're missing this bottom. So you can do it several ways. You can do it the old-fashioned way that we were doing in the last chapter, where you just change this to that or whatever. But somewhere along the way, they came up with this idea of, well, if it's a proportion, which is what these two fractions are when they're equal to each other, you can do a method called cross-multiplying. You can take the top and multiply it times the bottom, 36 times 8, and that would be equal to the other top and bottom times each other, x times 3. Okay? Now notice that I used parentheses instead of an x or a dot. If you use an x, you'll get the x confused with the x. If you use a dot, you might get it confused with a decimal point. Okay? So now I have a problem that doesn't look like a fraction anymore. So I'm going to take 36 and multiply it times 8. You'd probably use your calculator. I forgot to bring mine up here. And then I'm going to take x and multiply it times 3, and that would be 3x. Now, this looks like a real simple equation to solve. If you have 288 is equal to 3x, what do you do to solve it? Well, you just need to cancel this 3, so you're going to divide. But what you do to one side, you do to the other. And you get that x is equal to 96. So the missing part of your proportion is going to be 96. Okay? You can call this cross-multiplying. You can call it a butterfly. So you'll hear me use the word butterfly a lot. Let's butterfly it. Okay? Notice that you have the equal sign in the middle. It doesn't go away. Okay? So if we did another example, I have 30 over 6 is equal to x over 5. Notice that the missing part can be any place. It can be on any top or any bottom. So it's a proportion equals a proportion, so I'm going to butterfly it. Okay, so I'll have 30 times 5 is equal to 6 times x. Then you're going to actually simplify it. 30 times 5 is 150, and 6 times x is 6x. Then you'll divide by the part you want to get away from the x. And you get that the missing part is 25. Okay? So a simple basic proportion is what you're doing in the first part of 6-3. Now, when you get to the end of 6-3, they might give you one that's a little trickier. Example like this. 24 over 20 is equal to x plus 2 over x. Now, I don't just have one thing that's missing. I have two things, both the top and the bottom is missing. And notice I've done something to the top. So this one's going to be a more complicated solving. Okay, the butterfly step is still the same. Okay, you're still going to take this top times that bottom. Okay, so you're still going to have 24 times x. And on the other side, you're going to take 20 and multiply it times x plus 2. So 24 times x, that's simply 24x. But now over here, because you have something inside this parentheses, you have to remember we've got to distribute. okay? So now you'll have 20x plus 40, okay? Well, now it's not just a simple matter of dividing like it was before. Now I know I've got to get this x over to the other side with the x. I'm going to have to do some more solving. So I'm going to take the 20x and move it to the other side. Remember, to do that, you do the opposite, so it would be minus 20x. So now your x's are just 4x. On this side, you have the 40 left. Oh, now it's just a simple divide. And you divide both sides by 4, and you get x is equal to 10. So if your top has more than one thing there, you're going to have to end up doing the distributive property, and you're going to have to move the letters to the same side and the plain numbers to the other side before you do the division. Okay, so this is a quick tutorial on part of 6-3, which is solving proportions. We'll post another tutorial on how to do word problems using proportions. I hope this helps. If it doesn't, give me a phone call or text me a question.